Seconds. Collision. Burke, a very long three. Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! We're tied with 4 seconds.
Some guys were college gods, walking buckets, clutch killers, Naismith winners, March Madness icons. The kind of dudes who made you stop mid-scroll, grab the remote, and say, yo, this kid's different. Some had the hype, some had the rings, some even went top 5. But here's the cold truth. The NBA does not care about your college highlight reel. Whether it was injuries, bad fits, or game styles that aged like milk, these guys all have one thing in common. They peaked in college. Today, we're diving into the ultimate "how did this guy not make it" list. From Jimmer's logo range to Adam Morrison's tragic mustache arc, to a guy who won 2 national titles and still couldn't stick in the league. This lineup's got it all. Let's get into it.
Gonzaga by 17. Morrison, quick release 3. Pure, and the foul.
Before Gonzaga was Gonzaga, there was Adam Morrison, the floppy-haired, mustache-rocking walking bucket who turned a mid-major into must-see TV. In the 2005-06 season, he wasn't just scoring. He was putting up 28.1 points per game and going head-to-head with J.J. Redick in what felt like a weekly shootout for the soul of college basketball. It was art. It was chaos. It was the ultimate reality TV show. And who could forget that Sweet 16 collapse versus UCLA? Gonzaga blew the lead, and Morrison crumpled to the floor crying. And it wasn't just dramatic, it was iconic. That man gave everything. Literally, his soul was on the hardwood. So naturally, Charlotte took him 3rd overall in the draft. And that's where the mustache started to lose its magic. The NBA exposed holes in his game that college defenders never could. Turns out, college defenders were just speed bumps. The NBA was a freeway. Morrison wasn't quick. He wasn't explosive. His release? Too slow. And NBA wings were too long, too fast, and too locked in. Rookie year, decent, 11.8 points per game, but his defense was sus. And then, boom, an ACL tear in year 2. He missed the entire 2007-08 season, and honestly, that was kind of it. He is indeed a 2-time champion, on the roster for the back-to-back Lakers title in 2009 and 2010. But unless you're deep into NBA bench guy trivia, you probably wouldn't remember. He tried Europe, he tried coaching, he even tried summer league comebacks, but the magic never returned. Adam Morrison looked like a future legend in college, but in the NBA, he disappeared faster than a Gonzaga lead in March. He had the mustache, the buckets, and the tears, but the NBA swallowed him whole. This next dude had the entire country yelling his name every time he shot the ball.
His church mission in April to Sydney, Australia. Misses both, but gets the ball back. Nice move inside by the other freshman, Jimmer Fredette.
Ah, yes. Jimmer Mania. If you were breathing in 2011 and watched even 5 minutes of college basketball, you felt the hype. This dude was pulling from the logo like he thought the three-point line was an insult. Off balance, double-teamed, fading away. Didn't matter. Buckets. He averaged 28.9 points per game at BYU, won National Player of the Year, and had people yelling "Jimmer" at your local rec center every time they threw up a wild shot. He wasn't just a player, he was a movement. So when the Kings took him 10th overall, people thought Sacramento just drafted their own Steph Curry. But in the NBA, the magic ran out. Jimmer couldn't guard anybody, couldn't create separation, couldn't run an offense. If his shot wasn't falling, he was basically a cardio machine. He bounced from the Kings to the Bulls, to the Pelicans, to the Knicks, to the Spurs. No team ever figured out what to do with him. Eventually, he took his talents to China and started dropping 40-point games like it was nothing. But back home, the league had already moved on. College Jimmer was a god. NBA Jimmer was a reminder that deep range doesn't always mean deep impact. Our next candidate, however, had everything: size, skill, and a front office gamble that didn't age well.
Quick double up on him. And here's Kaminsky. The drop step.
That's his favorite.
And the 2. And the foul, number 4.
Frank the Tank Kaminsky wasn't flashy, but the man could ball. He had touch. He had footwork. He had range. And at 7 feet tall, he wasn't just another big guy, he was different. Kaminsky led Wisconsin to back-to-back Final Fours in 2015, dethroned an undefeated Kentucky team, and walked away with a Naismith Player of the Year award. Dude was a walking mismatch, and he made it look easy. So when Charlotte took him 9th overall, no one blinked. Felt like a solid pick. Until we learned they turned down 4 first-round picks from Boston to keep that spot. 4. I mean, if you do that, you better draft someone who can walk on water. Instead, Frank was fine. Decent shooting, stretched the floor, played his role. But he was never a star. Not close. He left Charlotte after his rookie deal, bounced to Phoenix, a couple other teams, and that was that. Now let's be fair, Kaminsky isn't a total bust, but when you pass on Devin Booker, Miles Turner, and 4 first-rounders, decent role player doesn't cut it. Charlotte bet big and came up empty. Up next is a guy who had the ultimate stamp of approval and still didn't make it. Shabazz Napier had that dog. The heir to Kimba at UConn, he ran the 2014 NCAA tournament like it was his personal mixtape. Big shots, big moments, big heart. 2-time NCAA champ, AAC Player of the Year, All-American, and he had LeBron James tweeting, teams should take Napier in the draft. Miami listened. They took him 24th. LeBron left 2 weeks later. Napier had all the college credentials, but the NBA wasn't feeling it. He was undersized, couldn't finish consistently, and he didn't have the burst to be a true difference maker at the next level. Napier struggled to find his footing with the Heat, averaging just 5.1 points per game and 2.5 assists while shooting a troubling 38.2% from the field as a rookie. After a year in Miami, he bounced around like a suitcase. Miami, Orlando, Portland, Brooklyn, Minnesota, Washington. Always solid, never that dude. He had flashes, sure, but the next Kimba? Nah. Shabazz Napier was a March Madness legend. In the NBA, he was just another backup point guard in a league full of them. Next on the countdown is a guy who dominated college hoops like few ever have, but as he soon found out, intensity alone couldn't save him in the NBA.
4-0 Duke. Noel to Hanssbro, he's doubled on the low block and still got a good-looking hook shot over Williams.
If college basketball had a junkyard dog, it was Tyler Hanssbro, aka Psycho T. This man played like every possession owed him money. He was intense. He was physical. He was relentless. 4-time All-American, ACC legend, national champion. He didn't jump high, didn't shoot much, didn't care. He just bullied people into submission. So when the Pacers took him in the lottery, it made sense. He brought hustle, heart, and the kind of nose for contact that earned him both bruises and buckets. But in the NBA, all that muscle met a brick wall of reality. You can out-hustle college kids, but grown men like Zach Randolph and Kevin Garnett? Nah, fam. He didn't stretch the floor. He couldn't protect the rim, and he wasn't big enough to play center in a league that was going smaller and faster. It took him 425 NBA games just to match the points he dropped in 142 college ones. He was a beast in college. In the league, just another guy off the bench, and eventually falling out by 2017. Tyler gave everything he had. It just wasn't enough at the next level. Next up, a man who had all the tools, all the talent, and enough confidence to fill a whole arena, but somehow still couldn't figure it out.
Beasley keeps his dribble alive, forces it up and hits it. Unbelievable play for him to come back with that ball.
Michael Beasley didn't just dominate college basketball in 2007, he steamrolled it. At Kansas State, his freshman season looked like a cheat code. 26.2 points, 12.4 rebounds, and 28 double-doubles in 33 games. That's not stats, that's war crimes on a stat sheet. He broke Carmelo's freshman scoring record and made everything look way too easy. At 6'9", he had the total package: strength, finesse, footwork, a buttery jumper, and handles that made you forget he was a big man. Beasley wasn't just good. He looked like a future MVP. No one questioned his game. So when the Heat picked him number 2 overall in 2008, right behind Derrick Rose, It felt like a can't-miss pick, but turns out he missed. Beasley showed flashes, 13.9 points as a rookie, but something was always off. He couldn't figure out if he was a 3 or a 4. His defense was MIA. Off-court issues didn't help, and the worst part, every now and then he'd go off. A 30-point night, smooth as silk, and then completely vanished the next game. Beasley bounced around like a passport. Heat, Wolves, Suns, Knicks, Rockets, then overseas. In China, he was a monster. But in the NBA, Beasley was a walking what-if. The guy with all the tools who never built anything lasting. Beasley's game was chaos, but this next dude was clean, polished, and supposedly NBA ready. But when the league moved on to speed and spacing, his back-to-the-basket game got left in the dust.
This is where Winslow is dangerous.
He loves to charge.
Put back in by Okafor.
In an era where everyone was chucking threes, Jahlil Okafor showed up like a time traveler from the 90s, a true low-post savant with footwork smooth enough to get a Nike deal. At Duke, he looked unstoppable. 17.3 points, 8.5 rebounds, 66% shooting, and a national title as a freshman. He had the bag, spin moves, up and unders, drop steps that made defenders question their life choices. Coach K said, clear the lane and let Jahlil cook. And cook he did. Before you knew, the accolades piled up. ACC Player of the Year, consensus First Team All-American, and most importantly, NCAA champion. As Duke cut down the nets in 2015, Okafor seemed destined for NBA stardom as the prototypical franchise center teams could build around. By draft night 2015, he was a lock. Philly took him 3rd overall, and then the game left him behind. In the modern NBA, you've got to stretch the floor, defend the perimeter, and switch on pick and rolls. Jahlil couldn't do any of that. He had a decent rookie stat line, but it was obvious he didn't fit. Slow feet, no 3, no defense. And when Joel Embiid got healthy, Okafor basically got ghosted. He tried Brooklyn, he tried New Orleans, he tried Detroit. Nothing stuck. The game evolved. Okafor didn't. Big resume, big name, bad timing. Jahlil showed up too late for his skill set to matter. But before him, another Okafor entered the league at just the right time, and still never quite got there. Before Jahlil, there was Emeka, and this Okafor, no relation, had people thinking he'd be the next great defensive anchor. In 2004, Emeka Okafor owned college hoops. He led UConn to a national title, averaged 4.1 blocks per game, and racked up awards like he was playing 2K on rookie mode. Defensive Player of the Year, Big East Player of the Year, First Team All-American. He was smart, efficient, and polished. He was the full package. Charlotte took him 2nd overall in the 2004 draft, right after a kid named Dwight Howard. Okafor even won Rookie of the Year. 15 points, 11 boards, almost 2 blocks a night. So where did it go wrong? Back issues crept in. The league sped up. And while Okafor stayed solid, averaging 12 points and 9.7 rebounds, he never hit that next gear. His offense plateaued. He couldn't stretch the floor. He was a good starter, but never the centerpiece Charlotte hoped for. He lasted a decade in the league. That's no bust, but for a number 2 pick, he simply never met the expectations. Emeka was solid, not spectacular. Our next dude, on the other hand, was spectacular, at least in college.
Transition defense can get back. And Brown kicks it from field. Williams and scores! An 8-0 run!
Quick, flashy, loud, and gone before most fans even learned his number. If you watched college basketball in 2005, you couldn't miss D. Brown, the headband-wearing, blur-quick guard whose infectious energy and million-dollar smile made him the face of one of the greatest college teams never to win a championship. Speed, flash, swagger. He was the engine of that 37-2 Illinois team that terrorized the NCAA. Alongside Darren Williams and Luther Head, Brown was the lightning bolt, Big Ten Player of the Year, First Team All-American, and the heartbeat of a team that came this close to a national title. He had the look, he had the smile, he had the game. Fans loved him. Highlight reels loved him. Then came the NBA, and it all evaporated. Drafted 46th overall by Utah in 2006, D's speed edge disappeared against NBA athletes who were just as quick but half a foot taller. His shot wasn't reliable. He was too small to finish inside, too shaky to be a full-time point guard. After brief, blink and you will miss them stints with the Wizards and Suns, Brown's NBA dream effectively ended before it really began. He played just 49 NBA games, scored 1.9 points per game, then quietly packed his bags and became a globetrotter, hooping in Turkey, Italy, China, everywhere except where fans expected him. In college, D. Brown was the show. In the league, he barely got a cameo. Up next on our countdown is a guy who was a walking medical miracle. Playing college basketball is a hard feat to achieve, but playing it at an elite level with no ACL in either of your knees is practically unheard of. And yet, that's what DeJuan Blair did. From 2007 to 2009, Blair bullied the Big East with sheer willpower, elite positioning, and a motor that never cooled off. Despite standing just 6'7", Blair became a double-double machine for the Panthers. As a sophomore, he averaged 15.7 points, 12.3 rebounds, and earned first-team All-American honors. His biggest moment? That legendary showdown against UConn, where he snagged 23 rebounds and made Hashim Thabit look like a cardboard cutout. But when draft night came, GMs got nervous about his knees and Blair fell to the second round, snagged by San Antonio. On paper, he looked like a steal, and for a moment it looked like he might be one. He started as a rookie, played key minutes, and even dropped a few 2020 games. But as time went on, so did his knees. What explosiveness he had faded. The league adjusted and Blair couldn't keep up. From the Spurs to the Mavs to the Wizards, then overseas, his career slowly faded. He fought off injuries as long as he could, but even miracles have limits. Blair fought off injuries, while this next dude fought off every expectation except one, that he was too small for the league.
Cleans up off the glass. Elamine for three.
Khalid Elamine was the heartbeat of UConn's 1999 national championship team. Short, stocky, and full of swagger, he played the game with confidence that far outpaced his listed 5'10" frame. He wasn't just a key part of that title run, he was the face of it. Always fired up, always vocal, always clutch when it counted. Fans remember his big plays, bigger personality, and the way he led UConn past Duke in the title game, where he celebrated like he just conquered the world. Because he kinda had. But swagger doesn't always scale. Drafted in the second round by Chicago, Elamine only lasted one season in the league, 50 games. He didn't have the burst to get by elite NBA defenders, and at that size, you need something that makes you unguardable. He didn't have that at the next level. Elamine went on to have a long and successful career overseas, but in the NBA, his story was a quick one. A college champion who burned bright but couldn't stay lit in the pros. Elamine was a spark, but this next guy, he was Michigan's hero in 2013, and once he hit the league, the magic started to fade.
Seconds. Collision. Burke, a very long three. Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! We're tied with 4 seconds.
If Trey Burke's 2013 run at Michigan felt cinematic, it's because it basically was. He led the Wolverines to the NCAA championship game and was named the Naismith Player of the Year. He was fearless, hitting deep threes, slicing up defenses, and making huge plays on the biggest stage. His buzzer beater against Kansas in the Sweet 16 still haunts Jayhawk fans. Burke had the main character energy. By the time draft night rolled around, Burke was one of the hottest names in the country. The Utah Jazz grabbed him with the 9th pick, expecting that same magic. And for a second, it looked like it might translate. But then came the reality check. Burke struggled to adjust to the size and speed of the league. He wasn't quite big enough to be a true scoring guard and not quite a natural floor general to run an offense. He had flashes, a few 20-point games, a playoff moment here and there, but never stuck a consistent starter. Over the years, he bounced from Utah to Washington to New York to Dallas, filling in where needed but never fulfilling that hype that followed him from college. In the NBA, he was just another name in the rotation. The spark just didn't become a flame. And finally, a player who proved he could win it all. But even after carrying Maryland to a title, the league barely blinked. Juan Dixon's college story was the stuff of legends. Undersized, overlooked, and under-recruited, he worked his way into the spotlight at Maryland and became a program icon. In 2002, he led the Terrapins to their first ever national championship and walked away with Final Four Most Outstanding Player honors. He scored, defended, led, and willed his team to victory. By the end of his college run, he was Maryland's all-time leading scorer, a March Madness folk hero. His game wasn't about overwhelming physical gifts. It was about heart, hustle, and an uncanny knack for hitting the biggest shots in the biggest moments. For 4 years in College Park, Juan Dixon was everything a college basketball star should be. The NBA, however, saw what Dixon wasn't rather than what he was. Dixon was drafted late in the first round and bounced around the league for several seasons. He had moments, solid scoring off the bench, a few double-digit games, but never found a permanent home or carved out a key role. He didn't have elite athleticism, too small for a 2-guard, not quite a 1, just caught in that in-between space that the league doesn't have patience for. By NBA standards, Dixon's career wasn't a complete failure. Surviving 7 seasons is an achievement many draft picks never reach. But for a player who had reached the absolute pinnacle of college basketball, his professional career felt like an afterthought to his Maryland glory days. He gave it everything, but in the NBA, heart isn't always enough. And there you have it. Every player on this list was college royalty. They won titles, broke records, and made us believe. But the NBA is a whole different beast. And that's what makes this list so interesting. It's not about failure. It's about how thin the line is between greatness and what happened. So, who did we miss? Who doesn't belong? Let us know in the comments. As always, we want to hear them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our video of the 10 greatest NBA legends who never won a championship ring.